Good morning. So I wanted to open with if anybody has any questions, something they want to discuss, an inquiry, a report, a sharing. I know Keith has a question. Do you still have your question? Oh, great. Resolved. Okay. Anybody have anything that they want to talk about? Hey, dancing hands, do you want to come up? You don't have to. Oh, she's going to come up. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I think I read somewhere, and I think I heard you say something about a rainbow body. And it sparked me to know the Tibetan tradition of a rainbow body.
That's probably going to be a question for Ani, who could speak to it probably much more fluently. But when I was a hospice nurse, I used to carry around the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I've never, been formally a Tibetan Buddhist, but for some reason I really resonated with that when I was doing hospice. And so for me, I just know the stories that are in that book and the Padmasambhava story, but we could have Ani speak to it more fluently. Just having been at deaths, what we call death, the continuation that we speak of as death, that particular transition. I mean, even those people who weren't as formally trained and as spiritually adept as the high lamas of Tibetan Buddhism, you could most definitely see, if you had eyes to see, the luminous rainbow. I don't know what we would call it, spirit, soul,
light body?
Light body, sure. I mean, as it began to emanate more powerfully as the physicality was being shed, really, just kind of like the skin of a snake. So that's my experience. I don't know the details. You could ask Ani, or Ani could come up.
I think that what I would ask is point me at the right book to read some stories too.
The right book for
Books.
the rainbow body. Let me get back to you on that, because that's specific, and a lot of times in the texts and the teachings in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, it's a part of a larger understanding. Because in itself, I know when I was in more New Age circles, there's a lot of talk of the rainbow body and moving into the rainbow body and the light body, but it's a fraction of a much larger topic, which is awakening and the dimensions of awakening and the dimensions of reality, and how we go from kind of this, coarse body into more sublime versions of ourselves, right? So then the rainbow body would be more pointing to that sublime, subtle body, which is, and there's a ton of texts you can read on this, but again, as we were mentioning this retreat, where we're kind of differentiating winds, channels, bindus. That's all part of really the subtle body. And if we have, there's all different levels of how we transition for all our different capacities and where we are on the path. But those that are, at a certain level of awakeness, they actually consciously move into their rainbow body at the time of death. And then they're consciously moving, right, instead of just, again, being forced into a rebirth because we go unconscious or we're just confused. So the rainbow body, it's pointed to in Buddhism as a level of awakening and a certain sign and confirmation of awakening. Like when Changu Rinpoche passed, I was actually at Jennifer's retreat in Oregon, and Sharon was there too, and it was a beautiful retreat. And he passed on June 4th, and we were there, and I think we all had a sense something was happening. And yeah, it was... Yeah. I think that there's so much we could say about what was going on there. It was just completely amazing. But Changu Rinpoche is, he's considered closer to Buddhahood. Some people would call him Buddha. I mean, just in his presence, you were just completely naturally moved into a state of samadhi. It just happened in his presence, right? So when he died consciously, and there were rainbows appearing above this center in Namabud in Nepal, and everybody was taking pictures of the rainbows and sending them to each other, meaning that he had consciously moved into his rainbow body. That was the sign. Yeah. So I'm going to check a couple of references and see what might be a good book.
Especially as with Padmasambhava as well, his teaching.
Padmasambhava?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually did a retreat in December, which part of that retreat was really focusing on Padmasambhava, his lifetime here. There's so much again, but I could talk to you separately. Yeah.
Anytime.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the chair.
Jeanette, do you want to come up or do you want the mic to come to you? Sure.
I wonder if you could speak a little bit on Kundalini by the many different names it goes, whether it's, winds and channels, or, but just its relationship to the process of awakening. And it's obviously not necessary because many people awaken without it. So I'm just curious, your experience, your knowledge, anything you could share.
Sure, yeah. I generally stay away from it because, well, for a few reasons. The word itself in this culture has become so, I don't even know the right word, misused, misperceived. It's turned into this like cult of bliss or tantric sex, and I mean, not that that can't be part of it, but it's been so diminished and so commercialized and misunderstood that I generally just kind of like, unless somebody really comes and wants to speak about it, because it's upending their life usually. Yeah, I hear you, I'm getting there. So I'll speak from the direct experience. I've also, read tremendous amounts about it and spoken to, one teacher in particular who has since transitioned, Bonnie Greenwell, who was it was her life's work And if you ever read her book, she's an Adyashanti teacher. She's just she's a wordsmith like Adya. She can just, it's beautiful and very approachable. And she spent her life researching it, so I would recommend Bonnie Greenwell's books. Kundalini is the embodiment catalyst for the awakened condition. It catalyzes and innervates and facilitates a complete rewiring of the gross anatomy, the subtle anatomy, the body of existence. It is a divine expression of Shakti Ma, the she who rises. These are, words that are derived from my direct experience. There's the ground of being, the pure potential that we can't speak about. It's ineffable. It's not knowable that way, but it's absolutely self-evident and present. And as that dark, luminous ground is stirred by love, then it gives way as the expression of existence. And it gives way through what some might call the Holy Spirit, Shakti Ma. I mean, I don't know all the names for it. It's not prana, it's not chi, it's the dance of Shiva Shakti, the emptiness dancing. It's the cosmic dancer in that movement. It's the great mother, the divine mother, the giver, the birther of the worlds, the billions of worlds. The weaver of the web. Dancing Hands sings a beautiful song. Maybe she'll gift us with it tomorrow about that. So this Kundalini is an expression, a physical expression of that. So the energy housed in it is that of creation itself. And it facilitates this rewiring, that's the best word that I can come up with, within the physicality where everything is brought into the knowledge, capital K, of universality, oneness, totality. And one can just really never, ever feel separate again. I don't think it would be possible. It'd be kind of like after you've given birth or something, you can't say you did, no, I never did that. I don't know what that was like. It was, separation is not a thing after Kundalini arises. But I think here anyway, there was no context, no preparation, no understanding, no context. So the first movement that came after it rose up and began seeing through these eyes and living through this physicality was a push back. I can remember having a meeting with Sharon where she asked me, well, what does it feel like? And I said, terrorism. I mean, I had a very strong nursing brain at the time. So, the two contexts that I could come up with were psychosis or brain tumor. I was like, well, okay, one or the other. So thank you, Sharon, because there was context. But, and, you know, Sharon pointed me towards Bonnie. And I ended up having some sessions with her, and then, you know, reading all of Marika, at one of the very first retreats I went to with Sharon, said, you need to read the mystic that wrote the very first book about, yes, Gopi Krishna, thank you, because she had met him many years, I mean, she's Marika, of course she had. I'm sure she had dinner with him and, you know, some caviar or whatever, but yeah. Served him lunch on a golden plate, I don't know, but I read his text on it, and it was so amazing. If you haven't read that, read Gopi Krishna, because he was kind of the go-to person in India, and it took him 35 years to integrate it, and he literally almost died many times. This is why I don't talk about it a lot. Unless somebody's really, as you are, wanting some context around it and some answers and a map. Because from this direct experience, it was like not pretty. I mean, on one hand, you know, I wasn't running around in spiritual circles, so I didn't understand that there was a whole millions of people striving for oneness and the consciousness and the seeing that was beyond division. So, I mean, that was a grace. It is a grace. It is a grace. I think that if there would have been context, the physicality wouldn't have maybe pushed back so hard, and the mind would have gotten in line a little bit easier, you know. I mean, I was a very intellectual person. Well, I mean, when they say naked, I mean, it's the absolute truth. One is naked of all of that. And Kali Ma, Shakti Ma gifted that. But I mean, it was fierce. Whew. Fierce. Fierce. I mean, I guess it matters how we see it and designate and all of that, but I mean, just to be sincere, you know, the nervous system is still really different since then, you know, and I just feel that it's still rewiring. Well, we're talking 21 years now. No, is this 2025? What is this? 24 years. But so's the earth herself. And I mean, there's a relaxing with it now. But I mean, that was hard won. And that came through teachers and sitting with Sangha and teachers and putting myself in truth, in association with others who had that view, and you know, and using the funny word, acknowledging the moment as the one and only way. So whatever in that moment, so like I wasn't able to do asana, mind blow. I started eating meat, 25 years, mind blow. I could go on and on and on and on, but the flexibility that had to be embodied was key. A flexibility of mind, and honestly, that for the whole path, not just Kundalini, that's key. The limits of a divided, inner division, the division of the mind, all that division that keeps us like rigidly boxed and limited. She's not going to have any of that. I mean, it was like that, off with her head. I heard her say it, off with her head. So, and I mean, Kali Ma does carry the bloody head around, and she's like, ah. I sat next to, is it Sasha? Is that her name? The Tibet? Yeah, at one of your retreats. And she and I were talking later, and she had like a whole sort of black mama, like, I don't know, dark thing come into her tent one night at a retreat and like say, that's it, honey, and and I'm like, oh my God, I did that happened to me too. Is that, we can talk off, yeah, how about that? I mean, it's bliss incarnate. It's pure ecstasy. But it bumps up against all that is believing otherwise. And it is the hand of Shakti, so I mean, it's not going to lose. It's like, I mean, it's growing the grass, it's spinning the heavens, it's like, twirling the atom, and I mean, pumping the hearts, and and our mind is like, I don't think so, I mean, no. So the more you can relax, which is sometimes very challenging, deeply, devotedly, committedly, focusedly, vitally live in the moment, as the moment, and the moment is the way through. It's the only way. So it might look very wild to the mind. It probably has and will. Kali Ma. One time at the Costa Rica retreat that Sharon and I do, I don't know, I got into it, I don't know how. I usually try to keep it at bay. And I was like, Kali Ma, and I just like let her rip, and somebody came to the small group later and was like, you scared me really bad. I didn't ask for it, or maybe I did. I don't know, last night. Well, anyway. Does anybody else have anything? Hi. I haven't met you yet, but hello. I've seen your beautiful presence.
Hello, yeah. Good to meet you.
What's your name?
Vinny.
Vinny.
I'm really enjoying this, by the way. Just want to say this, and also this, my question's kind of around the juxtaposition between the Tibetan Buddhist path, and I don't exactly, I know you like studied with Adya, but it kind of has this more like non-dual feel.
That's true.
So yeah, I want to hear you speak more to this kind of piece where like Tibetan Buddhism has this path and these different practices, and we're kind of like moving towards, being able to stay open and this, and then this kind of non-dual path is kind of like just stay open and just kind of keep going and just kind of keep opening, and then you kind of bring in the grass is growing. It's kind of my Tai Chi teacher would talk about, just let it develop naturally, just kind of let it open, just kind of keep going in that way. So I just love the dichotomy between, you know, like when do we kind of like use practices and tools, and when do we just kind of keep opening? And I just would love
Yeah,
to hear
beautiful.
you speak to
I'm
that.
so glad you're enjoying it, and it's not like messing with you. That's wonderful. You know, right on. So the jewel of the wish-fulfilling jewel, the jewel of enlightenment. To me, it's a diamond or an infinitely faceted jewel. That's just one way of looking at it. So the facets are all part of that, but sometimes this facet is very obviously fitting for the moment. But at another time, as you were saying, it might be, no, it's the facet of Tibetan Buddhism, it's the facet of Hinduism, it's the facet of mystical Christianity. I guess we could call it non-dual. I don't know what to call this, I have no idea, because I didn't really grow up in a tradition, but I am a confirmed teacher through Sharon in the Adyashanti lineage, and it fits here. It feels like home. But all of the traditions, to me that's so the beauty and the joy, that's part of the joy, the wisdom of joy, is that having that flexible, non-limited, because as we know, ultimate reality is none of those things and all of those things. Will it be expressing as Tibetan Buddhism? Yes. Is it defined by Tibetan Buddhism? Absolutely not. Same with Sufi or any of the other, because it's so beyond that, and there's more reality in, the blade of grass than any of these ways that we try to describe it. And you can smell and taste and see the truth when you smell, see, and taste the truth, right? So, because there's a lot of stuff out there anymore, calling itself this or calling itself the other, or, oh boy, we have to exercise discernment. So there's, Ani, Lodro, and I have a lot of fun with the words that are describing and finding it, like, oh yeah, and I'll ask her, like, well, how would you guys describe that? Like, where is that in the, because you can feel the truth here. You can sense it, as well as in Adya's presence. Absolutely, you can, or in Sharon's retreats, you can absolutely sense the truth. They are not wearing the same costume, because diversity is inherent to expression. Thanks be to God. That's the glory, that's the joy. And once we stop limiting ourselves to one idea, then that joy starts being experienced, and you know it. You know it when you see it. You know it when you taste it. There it is. And hopefully we know it when we're being fooled by words that have no real roots in the truth. Sometimes somebody will send me a video or something, and they could be using all the same words as like somebody like even Ajahn, and it has it's a little bit frightening, YouTube is frightening to me. I stay out of there. I'm like, I mean, I have a channel, evidently. My husband curates it, but wow. I mean, the power of words. Anyway, we have to be discerning. You know it. I can feel that you know it. So yeah, it's, enjoy synthesizing and finding it, and like, oh, this is the way Meister Eckhart said it, and this is the way, the Buddha said it, and I find that to be the icing, the frosting on the cake. I love it. But I am very comfortable with, when our daughter was in school, she would come home with, all kinds of things. I mean, I get that we have to be schooled and all of that, but, and she would say, and this mom, and I would always just kind of go, that's one idea. And she'd get so mad. Like, no, this is what they're teaching me at school. And I'm like, yeah, but it's one idea. I mean, really, it's kind of just one idea. So I'm very comfortable with that. And I know some aren't. They kind of want something really structured and rock solid, and luckily that's out there too. Does that kind of address what you were?
Yeah, very much. I feel, and as I felt from just hearing you speak over these past few days, just an easing, the kind of like relaxing piece around my path or what it has to look like.
Good.
And also delight, kind of this invitation to delight in, the multiplicity of paths, and expressions. So.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, Zoomers. Yep. Let's see if anybody on Zoom's got some. I wish I could see faces, but they're staying incognito.
Liz St. John says, thank you for sharing the perspective, Jen.
There's the beautiful faces. Okay. Anybody have a question over there? Or it doesn't have to be a question, but an inquiry, a report, a sharing.
I don't think so.
Okay. Are we feeling satisfaction? Yeah, I mean, at any point of whatever phase, stage, whatever unfolding, current immediacy one finds themselves in, it's really useful, very skillful to have an avenue for questioning what one's determining about that phase, and determining about that moment, and determining about, it, and the avenues can change over time, I mean, I don't know why it's so anecdotal today, but anyway, it is. In the kind of Kundalini experience, if you can call it that, the shift, the reorientation, there was a period of time where that kind of mind that is like designating, categorizing, defining, naming was just it just went offline. It was like a switch. It was not available, and so then it was like, oh, it's a stroke, or something. But, so here, although it was very challenging, it also became deeply, deeply embodied that piece of reality is not necessary. I mean, it's never going to say it isn't. It's like, you need me for sure, but it, honest to God, is not necessary. I mean, one learns very quickly to navigate, or not so quickly, navigate by essence and immediacy. But then the switch went back on, and all of the dark corners, and I don't mean like, dark as in bad and evil, I just mean they had not been illuminated, the light had not shone there, came calling. And it was a trip because there had been no thinking for so long. And then the conditioning would come in, and there would be a reflex kind of grabbing to try and move into some kind of pattern that would like normalize it, like we all do, like justification, defense, naming it in a way that's going to make it palatable, or publicly okay, and it was like Teflon. There was no hook. There was nothing to grab. I couldn't use the general way that had previously been used when conditioning would come in. So various methods, and I hadn't used methods in a really long time at that point because it had all been just sort of happening. Various methods were really helpful. I've put some of them in the handout, those focused inquiries. A very simple one that was from an Eckhart Tolle book was just saying maybe. Maybe. Because it seemed to embody that flexibility, because we can so easily go into division and againstness against ourselves and what we're thinking, or come up with a demonizing path, like those people who are destroying the earth, or the people who are the they. And you quickly realize, no, there's no they, there's only us. There is only us. There is no they. And so you have to start working with how division is actually generated and seeing it at its root, where it very first begins to divide into againstness. And then gently, because if you go to war, then it's just the cycle. If we go into any kind of againstness, we're just in againstness. So maybe really worked here. I mean, Adya's second tenet of his Pith teachings is question every thought. It's the questioning that is a genuine curiosity, not a just, oh, you're full of shit. Go away to the mind. I mean, when has that ever worked? It's a, I wonder, or like Byron Katie, is that true? Her 4 questions are pretty fierce. If you can hack that, then you're doing pretty good because of that turnaround. No, it's you, and only you. She's really all about the mirror, the reflective, relentlessly reflective reality. There's so many methods. The moment is going to be perfectly informative for you, for each one of us. But we have to, I use the metaphor of a radio station a lot because that's just how it felt here. You have to tune into something fresh, different, that isn't the same old, same old, same old. The same old, same old, same old is there. You can tune into it, or it can seemingly kind of come over you. But even then, there is a it's not hard, we can move our attention like that. You don't have to learn how to move your attention. Attention moves. We can move attention. I teach on that a lot because I think it's a very underutilized natural function. Just move your attention. I mean, sometimes I would be fussing and, just in the spin, get a call from a family member. That's what does it here. And I just realized, after an hour or something, Jennifer, why are you attending to this? What is happening? Just move your attention. And it's like an entire world just disappears. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Very underutilized. Real simple. We can take our attention from our head to our toes. We learn it in kindergarten, right? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. I mean, we can do it easily. So, whatever the way may be, it isn't far, it's not distant, it's not unattainable, it doesn't have to be achieved. I don't know how the good karma, bad karma thing works, but here it just looks like and is like wholeness moves to wholeness. Division moves to division. I mean, it just seems to be, that's how it is. Regardless of if we're a good person, bad person, whatever. Division moves to division. It embodies endless cycles of division. Wholeness moves to wholeness. We don't know how, we can't orchestrate that, see? We can just sort of be the fertile ground, the empty vessel. Empty, the emptier the easier. It doesn't feel like that when we're letting go and surrendering all of the notions of self, especially. Viscerally, it can feel really terrifying, but truly, in this experience, the emptier the easier. Because, as Ani's been so beautifully pointing out, what the Tibetans are calling samsara is, well, it's kind of heartbreaking on a certain level. Disheartening for that human piece. Sometimes you just wake up going, really? Wow. So, look around, listen with open field listening, open field listening, and start sort of cultivating these channels that Ani's been pointing to a new station on the dial. on the radio, cultivating that. It's all there. It's just, it hasn't been attended. It hasn't been attended to. It's all there. We've just been kind of stuck on this one thing of having an experience, having it reflected back, and then deciding that that reflection is an experiencer. There's someone actually experiencing, and then talking about it, naming it, having it enliven an emotional current, and all the stuff, and more thoughts. And I mean, Dr. Hawkins used to call it just the entertainment. He was like, it's just the soap opera that we're just all tuning in for the next episode. And when we say that, it can sound to a certain aspect of the heart usually like a kind of callous way to be in reality, especially if you're a person who cares deeply, has spent your life, caring. And I understand that. The surprising thing in this experience is that when reality is seen from and as and through wholeness, allness, you don't have to try to care. I mean, surprisingly, everything is eternally, infinitely well. You can't deny it. There's no denying it, even if you're watching the starving babies. You can't deny it. It's not of the mind. It's not reasonable. And at the same time, there is a movement to be not defined by that anymore, but with it, present for it. I think that's the whole in the world but not of the world pointer. Because we're really not very effective if we're super drained, challenged, rocked, defeated by samsara. I mean, that's just another piece of it. And it's a rising above, but it's not in the special way that the ego and mind thinks that the rising above will be. I'll just rise above it and be this angelic presence. I don't know if any of you have ever read any of Mother Teresa's stuff, but wow. If you're ever interested in a path with heart, where she's just so sincere and honest about the challenges of being in the trenches. Calling out to source, and I mean, it's beautiful. So the ways and means, you got to find what works in the moment. The moment will inform that, and listen, really cultivate continuously, not just once, but like always, this channel, if you want to call it that, of receptivity, so that we can receive that wisdom that's moving, always, ever is, beyond the thinking mind. It's like making oneself an instrument, an antenna. I mean, that's the embodiment. And things come and go. The mind may determine that, you'll enter a flow state or something, and it's like, this is it, okay, it's always going to be this way. I mean, we have to make peace with the phases of unfolding and the not knowing, the mystery of it, the mystery of that. What is it? God moves in mysterious ways. Meaning beyond the thinking mind, that you can't look directly at it, nail it down, objectify it, quantify it, put it to good use and all of that. That's not how it works. You just have to give way as that. No matter how stunning the experience is, Kundalini, psychedelic, whatever it is, no matter how stunning the experience is, everything comes and goes. Got to be willing to go, even if it's like Kundalini has arisen. Everything comes and goes. Everything comes and goes. Everything comes and goes. And that is really a deep teaching, I've found. I mean, because the deeper the seeing and the more wonder and awe and all of that, there can be a tendency, there can be, and it's deep, it's very subtle, to, describe it as this is it, or give it a name that we've found in some tradition, and so it's really a very deep teaching, a fundamental teaching that everything comes and goes. Everything other than ultimate reality, that which is immovable, indescribable, and all the rest, undeniably, always, ever ising, but expressions, phenomena come and go, even as stunning as they may be. Okay. So, oh, yeah? They want to give you a mic so that people on Zoom can participate.
Oh, I was just wondering, is that before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water, and after enlightenment, chop wood and carry water? Mm-hmm. Is that what you just said to me?
Yeah.
I thought so. I always wondered what that meant. Thank you.
Yeah. I love that. It's a good one. Thank you. All right. So we can tune in and see, experience directly that attention moves. We can do it together here. We can go from our head to our heart, to our tailbone, to the soles of our feet, to the palms of our hands, surface of our skin. We can do that. We can move the attention. We can guide it. And we can also experience and see that although attention is moving, awareness is. It's not moving, it is. attention is moving, and that which sees attention move is of itself a immovability, an indivisible alwaysness, the illumination, the light that is shining on attention and in attention as it moves. So it's helpful to bring the attention somewhere besides the mind stream, just the chatter, the constant flow of thoughts that who knows where they come from. I don't see any mine or yours there. They're thoughts coming in to consciousness. If they're attended to, then they begin to generate belief and emotion and all the rest. But if the attention is relaxed out of that, and I find if we use the body as an anchor for the attention, so anchor, come down, back, in. So the seeing itself is seeing attention and moving it down, back, and in. But the attention itself can only rest, kind of fall back, relax into the awareness that is. It can't turn around. The attention can't turn around and see what is seeing it. It's more like a absorption. Like a just giving the attention to something that isn't moving. The seingness itself. If this just feels way too abstract, just anchor the attention in the center of the body, somewhere below the neck. And we might feel it getting a little squirrely, like, there's nothing to attend to here. I think I'll think about it. So then we're just kind of lost in that for a minute. And we're attending to that. So we just drop it back down. Notice that there's this ease with the attention. It's easy to move it. You just easily move it down somewhere below the neck and become kind of curious. What knows that attention moved? What is aware? It can also be helpful to kind of cast the eyes down, whether they're open or closed, in a gentle way, just kind of easy to do, nothing to do. Easy to do, nothing to do. Things are coming and going. Thoughts are coming and going. Sensations are coming and going. Thoughts about thoughts are coming and going. The breath coming and going. An insight could arise, coming and going. And the attention is just rested in that sees, that is seeingness itself. It 100% absolutely does not matter in any way, shape, or form how many times we have to bring the attention back to rest. And just drop it out, relax it downward. It's simple. It's easy. Hearingness is hearing. The skin is feeling. All the trillions of cells are in the process of life. It's all right here, coming and going, coming into existence, going, dissolution, creation, and that which is neither coming nor going, not separate from coming and going. So very gently, from this place of absorbed attention, pure awareness, just from that place, open your eyes. The attention is absorbed. The eyes are open.